I am Vinod. So I have been teaching Snowflake since last 6 years. Not only Snowflake, the other data engineer stack around some ETL tools like Matillion, DBT, Airflow, Python, and etc. My total experience is related to the data engineering. I worked on different databases like Redshift, Snowflake, Postgres, Oracle, and everything about my experience is about the data engineering. Okay. So this is all about myself. So first of all, what is this course is about, right? So what kind of topics I'm going to cover as part of this course. So you take any job description, you go to any portal like LinkedIn or Naukri and check for any of the job description related to the data engineering. So the first thing they're going to ask you is the very basic step that you need to learn about the data engineering is first of all, you need to learn SQL. Okay. So structured query language, right? So you need to, first of all, will be very familiar with SQL. So this is the language that we write the code to interact with different databases. Okay. So that is the reason if you want to enter into the data engineering industry, so first of all, you need to learn SQL first. Okay. So that is our prerequisite, you can say. Okay. So the first thing that you are going to learn is SQL. Now, other thing is the second step is they are going to ask you about any of the latest modern data warehouses. Okay. So here what we are going to discuss is we are going to discuss about the Snowflake. Okay. Snowflake is our data warehouse we are choosing. So you have different data warehouses in the market, like you have Redshift from Amazon, BigQuery from Google, and you have some legacy data warehouses also, Teradata, SAP HANA, right? So there are a lot of data warehouses. Okay. But the Snowflake is leading in the market in the data warehousing industry. Okay. So we are going to cover about all the Snowflake related stuff. So around 20 hours of sessions on the Snowflake. Okay. So like how to create a Snowflake trial account, how to do the administration part, how you can ingest the data, how you can load the data into Snowflake, how you can perform transformations inside Snowflake, right? So all these things we are going to cover, and some of the Snowflake special features which are making Snowflake stand different from other data warehouses. So that is what we are going to cover. Our main core focus will be on the Snowflake, around 18 to 20 hours of the sessions on the Snowflake part. And later they'll ask you should be familiar with any of the clouds. So there are 3 clouds in the market: Amazon Web Services, Azure, and GCP. So in this course, I am going to touch AWS part. So we'll see what are the different basic services of AWS and how we can interact using AWS and Snowflake, right? So how we can load the data if data is sitting in AWS S3, and how we can interact with Snowflake. So that is what we are going to discuss as part of this course. So one data
One question here, sorry.
Yep.
One question. So I also seen that they were asking the requirement AWS with Snowflake, but why is it? Because there some advantage using AWS with Snowflake, or why not like GCP, or why not Azure or something?
Okay, so yeah, equally AWS is like, if you consider clouds, AWS are one of the leaders in the cloud, and whatever new feature they bring in Snowflake, the trend is first of all they'll introduce in AWS. Okay, and then they start with the Azure and GCP. So that is the reason Snowflake with AWS is like more. I can say 50% of the project are Snowflake and AWS. But in the last 1.5 year to 2 years, I am also seeing a trend with Azure and Snowflake. Now Microsoft is also coming up with a good data engineering packages. So all the tools related to data engineering, they're packaging it and selling. So Azure also getting the momentum. So AWS is leading, but Azure is also getting the momentum. So generally any feature they introduce, let's say they're introducing a new feature, first of all, they introduce in AWS cloud only. So that's the reason maybe people choose the AWS with Snowflake. That is one more reason. Now, apart from this, we are also going to discuss about one of the transformation tools, very important transformation tool, which is becoming really famous now, especially with Snowflake. The people are getting a lot of traction on the DBT now. Okay. So this is data build tool. So this is exclusively for transformations. So when I say transformations, we have 3 parts, right? In the ELT process: extraction, load, and transform. That particular T part, the transformation part, is taken care by DBT. So we are going to see now how we can use DBT with Snowflake to do the transformations, and what are the advantages of it, why this tool is really special, like why people are sought after this particular tool. When if you check a LinkedIn post, Snowflake DBT's combination is trending now. So Snowflake and DBT combination is really trending now. This is going to be a core now. So if you go into the market, right, if you go with only Snowflake, it will be tough to get the calls also. Better you have Snowflake as your core skill and build some other extra skills around this Snowflake. So that one of the other skill, other technology is DBT. Okay, other tool is DBT. Similar way, we are also going to cover Airflow. So Airflow is one of the scheduling. If you have already worked on some of the data engineering projects, so you might have heard about this tool. Airflow is the data engineering scheduling tool. We have other tools also in the market like Autosys, Control M, etc. But Airflow is now trending here. Apart from this, we are also going to see some of the Python basics, because nowadays, apart from SQL, previously it used to be SQL with data engineering, but now people are also asking Python also. So very basic, you need not be an expert or you need not be full stack developer in Python. So you need to know what are the different packages to interact with AWS, Snowflake, and maybe Airflow. We are going to see how to make use of Python and come up with some real use cases. So this is going to be our course content, guys. Will be around 30 hours of course content that I am going to cover. So if you want to see the real deep syllabus that I am going to cover, so this is going to be the syllabus. We will be seeing a Snowflake introduction, how to create Snowflake, what is the Snowflake architecture, what are the special features of Snowflake, and then we'll see some of the administration part, like how to do different administration techniques, like what are the objects involved, what is role-based access control, etc. And then we'll see how to load the data ingestion process in Snowflake, like how to load the data from different sources, right? If it is a Postgres database or from S3, how to load the data and what are the different techniques available. And we'll see what are the techniques available or features available to build the data pipelines. And at the end, for the Snowflake, I'm going to show you what are the special features of Snowflake. So these are the special features of top features of Snowflake. I picked like around 6 to 7 features, which making Snowflake different from other data warehouses. So this is going to be our final module for Snowflake. So these 5 modules covers both Snowflake. The other modules are like we will cover about DBT. Once the Snowflake is completed, we'll cover about DBT and Airflow, Python also. Okay, so module 6 is about Python integration, and then you'll see how to use AWS services and then DBT. And the final module is about the Airflow part. So this is all about the course content. So now why we need these tools in the data engineering? What kind of problem you are solving?
So I've seen Databricks and also here in Databricks and Snowflake, right? Can we compare Databricks and Snowflake as competitors, or both are like independent? I mean, completely different. They're used
Okay.
for like.
Yeah, good question. So thing is, yeah, now if you ask me, I will say Databricks and Snowflake are competitors. Okay, but initially how it started, right? So Databricks is built on a framework called Spark framework. So it's a Python framework. What it does is it does lot of parallel processing on so many distributed nodes. Generally, when your data volume unstructured, right? So if you have too much of unstructured data and you wanted to process the data, let's say you have so many PDF files, you wanted to process those files, generally in that area, Databricks is expert. For the unstructured data process, Databricks is leading. But when you say about the structured data, let's say a data warehouse solution, so Snowflake was leading. Okay, Snowflake is still leader in the data warehouse market, that is structured data. Now what happens going into Databricks space by introducing a new feature called Snowpark. If you have heard about this feature, Snowpark is a new feature which can run a Spark framework on top. That means it is trying to replace Databricks now with Snowpark. Now what Databricks is doing? Databricks is trying to enter into the data warehouse area of Snowflake. Now they are supporting all the basic SQL based operations on all the delta tables, everything. So now both are entering into each other's space. So they are becoming competitors. But there are some projects I have seen where both are used combinedly. Most of the time, for the structured data processing, we use Snowflake. For the unstructured data processing, we use Databricks. But it doesn't mean you cannot process unstructured data using Snowflake. Snowflake also introduced those features. But in the market, if you see, this is the trend. You got this? And the learning curve, if I want to compare between Snowflake and Databricks, right? Snowflake is compared to Databricks, it is relatively easy, I can say. So you need the basics of SQL and basics of Python. Python also we don't use much, but yeah, basics of SQL and some cloud basics. But whereas Databricks, you need to know Python mandatorily. So this is like purely PySpark based coding. So you need to know about Python here. So this is more relying on Python. This is more relying on the SQL part.
Which one is Python?
Databricks is purely a Python. But still, you can write SQL here, you can write Python here, but Databricks is introduced initially through Python. Let us try to understand why we need all these tools, why I am learning all these tools, what business problem I am going to solve. There should be a purpose, right? Because we are learning all these tools, we should be solving some business problem. So that is the classic problem that we are going to solve is, for example, let's take one use case. When you are doing shopping on the e-commerce website like Amazon, let's say I am trying to order a product, you are getting some recommendation, right? So like buy this product and this product together, you'll get some discount. So how we are getting that particular recommendation? There is a background thing is happening for Amazon. So what Amazon will do is generally, Amazon will store all your data, the current data, your orders data, your products data, your customer data, everything into a databases called OLTP databases. So does anyone know what is mean by OLTP?
Online transaction processing.
Correct. Online transaction processing. What does this mean is these particular databases are designed for holding small volumes of data, but writing and reading those small volumes of data is really faster. That is the word that transaction means. So when you're performing a transaction, so it should be happen within milliseconds or seconds. So these systems are designed like that. Generally, Amazon will be using some of the OLTP databases like Postgres or Oracle kind of databases to host your regular data that you are using now. When you place an order or whenever you are canceling an order, right? Everything will be updated into these OLTP systems. So in the market, the most famous used things are Postgres or Oracle or MySQL or SQL Server. These are the four databases you see in the space of OLTP systems. Now, I am using my Amazon account, let's say since last 10 years I am using. So the data is getting older. So what I can do with the data, the historical data we call it as. Now that data will be moved into another database. And these type of databases are called OLAP databases. So what is mean by OLAP?
Analytical processing.
Exactly. So this is transaction processing. This is analytical processing. So these databases, right? I intentionally drawn a big diagram here. This can hold huge volume of data. Okay. And reading from these particular databases are really faster. Writing is slow because you are going to bring the data from this OLTP system. As the data is getting older and older, the historical data will be moved from your OLTP system into your OLAP system. And these databases are designed for having storing huge volumes of data, and the reading from these databases are really faster. Writing might be slower, but reading is really faster here. So you will be moving this particular data from this OLTP system into OLAP system. Now, what is the purpose of storing this data here? Correct? So let's say I am dumping all the data that was there on my OLAP system and I call it as my raw data. Okay, this is my raw data. The data is in the raw format from the source. Let us assume I wanted to do some modification to this data and I wanted to use it for reporting purpose. For example, my management wants to know, or in case of Amazon, I wanted to know in which region the orders are heavy, which quarter these orders are heavy, some kind of reporting that you wanted to do. So in such cases, you need this data, all your historical data of the customers since last 5 years or 7 years. So all the data we are going to use and we are going to make a report out of it. Okay. So one such use case is I wanted to make a report out of this historical data. So first of all, I wanted to curate or transform this data. This is in the raw format. Then I wanted to make it as curated data. I can say curated data or modeled data, I can say. So what I am going to do, I'm going to get this source data as it is and call it as raw data. And I wanted to do some transformation. For example, I'm getting sales data at day level. Now I wanted to convert that into month level, year level, quarter level. So that is my transformation. So my raw data will be transformed or aggregated into another layer called curated layer. And this curated data might be used by a reporting team. So that they wanted to generate some pictorial representation and they wanted to show it to the management. They wanted to analyze the business. So this is one of the downstream consumer of this data. The other person is your data scientist. So you might heard about this word data scientist. So data scientist will be using this data and applying some algorithms and getting some recommendations. So in case of Amazon, they will be analyzing all the buying patterns of the customers for the last 6 to 7 years and they come up with the recommendation. So they come up with a bunch of package saying you buy this and this together, discount here. Right. So one such consumer is your data scientist and another consumer is your data analyst or visualization engineers. Where does data engineer fit here? So data engineer fits in this particular. So getting the data from your OLTP system into your OLAP system and then you're transforming your data into a curated layer. So building the complete data pipelines is the responsibility of your data engineer here. As a data engineer, what you do is you may be performing extractions from different source system, right? Extract and then load the data into your data warehouse like Snowflake or your OLAP system, and then you are going to do the transformations. So this is the core work of a data engineer. So not only this, we have a lot of other works. You need to take care of data security, data governance, and performance issues. Everything is part of your data engineering. In this OLAP area, we are going to discuss about Snowflake. This is also called as data warehouse. So we can use Snowflake or Redshift or BigQuery, but we are going to use Snowflake in our sessions here. Now for transformation, to convert raw data into curated data. So that can be your DBT. Sorry, let me write DBT here. And this is Snowflake. Your OLAP system is Snowflake. And to schedule something, all these jobs like extraction, loading, and transformation, you may need Airflow. You may need a party tool called Airflow, which will orchestrate all these jobs like extraction, loading, and transformation. And for extraction and loading, you will use in between AWS to host the data, and you will also use some of the data loading tools, even implement the data loading using Python also, or some other tools like Fivetran. This is where the technology stack fits. The extraction and loading, there are some technologies. In the transformation, there is some technologies. To store the data, there is some technology. To schedule all these jobs is some technology, right? So that is the reason you need to learn all these technologies to build these pipelines for your data visualization engineers and data scientists. From the next session, we'll start creating the trial accounts. Okay. So everything is a free trial, guys. You don't need to install any software on your laptop or in your machine. Snowflake is a 30 days free trial, and the DBT is also 14 days free trial. DBT Cloud and DBT Core is completely free, and even Airflow you can install it in the open source version. It is completely free. Similar way, AWS is 6 months free. So everything that we are going to use in these particular sessions are free. You don't need to pay any cost. So everything for the free trial accounts we are going to use, and then we are going to build a pipeline. So at the end of this session, what we are going to do is, so I am going to give you some real data from one of the website. And there is one website where Telangana government is hosting some groundwater data, rainwater data, everything. So that we will try to bring the data in from there into our Snowflake as the raw data using some Python scripting, and then we are going to transform using DBT and make it as a curated layer. So similar way, not only that, another database will take Postgres database. We will spin up in AWS, and from Postgres we'll extract the data into Snowflake. Again, we will build another pipeline. So we try to do different use cases from different sources here, so that you'll get a feel like how the real data pipeline looks like. Okay, thank you.